Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PTS Trading Strategies, where strategic knowledge and information allows you to trade successfully. Welcome to our trade forecasting room. It is 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Before we continue, let us go to the disclaimer. Disclaimer. Future stock and spot currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in future stocks and Forex markets. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This presentation or website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy, sell future stocks or Forex. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on this presentation or website. Past performance indicators or methodology are not necessarily indicative of future results. Very good. So let us go to the calendar, see what we have for today. Good morning to all. And today, this just came out right now, German WPI month on month. Apparently the numbers came in better than forecasted, similar to what was last month. Japanese economy watcher sentiment came out, and this came out less than expected, much lower than previous month, and this month they're expecting a 1.4 better, and did not. It missed its estimate. Within 45 minutes we will see French CPI, and by 5 a.m. Eastern Time, industrial production at 7 a.m. I guess this is we're going to see monetary policy summary and the UK official bank rate. So because of this, we may not see much movement, but there's always something setting up, and that is what we are looking for, to see what they are setting up for. So now we have an idea, more or less, of what to anticipate. Okay, so let us look today at what the Dow Futures has already done for the new day and what it looks like it's going to do. From the looks of it, based on what we've seen, they've come down, retested, ready to go long, and it looks from this point that they're actually going to rally tonight. Now, analyzing this is a 15-minute, so we're looking basically at what they're doing. The trend stop here has flatlined. We have power dots that have formed here right off of the 15-minute and right off of the 50 moving average. So let us continue to, when I see something like this, it automatically tells me, go take a look at the 60-minute. The 60-minute from this point on should confirm more or less with the amount of time that they've been trading, if that is the case. And as you can see here, when they opened, they came down. They came down, and you have the buyers at the very top of the point of control in this candle here. Let me get the pointer, as you can see, and then the sellers at the bottom. So this means that there's an imbalance that must be addressed. What is the imbalance? The imbalance is that the buyers are announcing they are no longer interested in buying any lower. The sellers are interested, but the buyers are not. And so here at this point, we see the same thing. And that's why, of course, we see that this looks very promising from this point. So we take a look at the 10-minute, the 15, the 7, and the 12-minute. To confirm, the 10-minute, very clearly, you can see this was the signal here to go long, and now, of course, they just broken this level. To me, I like this trade to the upside, no question about it. What would be the stop loss based on this? I would tell you, you're probably looking at And that's why I say I want to wait just slightly, but I'm thinking that right here, let me get the pointer. Let's confirm it's trading at 7690. I'd say 10 ticks. I really don't see anything beyond that. They've been here before, as you can see. You can see that there is a power dot here. There is a pivot here. So, but I feel comfortable with the fact that they're going to go right through it from this point. So I would be looking at a 10 tick stop loss. That's it. Nothing more than that. And realistically, I'd say not even 10 ticks, because from our entry, I would basically, let me see, I would say the point of control right here, 17,683, would be the stop loss. So we're talking 9 ticks, not even 10 ticks. That is what I would feel comfortable regarding this trade. Now, of course, let us look at this and see what is overextended. So here, for instance, we see that the yen has been completely weakened against a portfolio of 8. The British pound looks like it's beginning to weaken. The Australian has been weakened. The Swiss, the Canadian looks like it's going to go flat. Seems like the New Zealand and the Australian are completely at odds, but I would be looking at the New Zealand yen based on what I see here. And my only reason why is because it seems like they're going to continue to weaken. I don't think they're going to weaken the yen any further. The yen looks like it's going to strengthen. But looks can be deceiving. As you can see, our trade just popped. And that is significant for us right now based on what's happening. So I'm very comfortable with this. I feel that this trade will go, because we got in here from moving average to moving average, but let us map out the pivots here and see where they plan on going next. Ooh, that's a very treacherous way. Okay, so they're right here. You can see there are 2 pivots here. So that's our first target, 17,702. The next one would be 17,721. And following that, we have a power dot, not a trend dot, right here at 17,740, which is, I'm actually very comfortable with that. But I think that based on what's happening, they probably will make a move to 17,788. Now, we may not see a tremendous move right now. Right now, really, I would not expect anything to go beyond this power dot here, which is 17,740. That would be what I would be expecting them to do, which is 10 ticks above there. And based on the pivots here, 17,760 is not out of the question either. That's as far as I think they would actually take it. We were looking at an example today of this, and it just collapsed, came down, no question. They didn't know what to call themselves. They still don't know what to call themselves right now. So we know what to call them. Confused. Confucius says they do not know what to do. And their robots at this point don't, but we do. Now, let's go looking for something else. Now that we've identified this, let us take a look at the New Zealand yen, which looks very promising and very interesting. Now what I want to do is actually change this to a 60-minute. I want to see what they can potentially be doing in the higher time frame. So we have to manually change it here, of course. And just press OK. And it'll come out in a matter of a second. Remember, this indicator is not a leading indicator. That is not how we look at it. We look at it from a different perspective. So this is telling us that the yen is going to continue to weaken against the dollar. The dollar looks like it still has moved. I base myself off the hourly here, but I love the New Zealand yen. Very promising. The pound yen, I mean, it is just very, very promising. So now we're practically up. Let me see. Almost 10 ticks on our trade. Don't really need to sit on that. We can actually look at the market analyzer and go and look at something else. You know, maybe crude would be one that we should take advantage of before anything, before we look at the others. And actually, I like seeing this. This tells me that the British pound is going to continue to rally based on this. So this is actually interesting. We'll take a look at that real quickly. I want to take a look at crude only because the Canadian right now looks like it wishes to recover against the dollar, but I think that that is overstated. So watch that position on the E-mini Dow. While we go look at crude. Wonderful. So what this indicator is telling us is that the Canadian, as we said, had weakened. Looks like it's gaining some strength, or might. I don't think so. I think it's going to continue to weaken, and if that's the case, then we should actually see crude come down. Interesting concept. Let's analyze this. Let's look, and now I actually want to look at the 7-minute on this one, and then we'll work our way up. We're still good on the Dow. We're up to 7 ticks, so not too concerned about that. This one, on the other hand, is almost at the previous day's high. It's not done yet, so that means that they still got room to move. Now let's analyze this, because sometimes they will announce prior to this move, and they'll usually go up about, on futures, they usually like to go up at least 30 ticks before, 20 to 30 ticks once they announce, before they actually come down crashing. Now here, they announced short, came right back up. As you can see here, they announced and it went up again, and this went from where it settled 46.16 to 46.22. Not really that much, but if this one decides to come down, then they're in trouble. Now this is where volume becomes very interesting to us, and the reason why we're going to add volume is because it puts them at odds. So let's give it a minute. I'll be right back. And now we're right back at 9 ticks positive again on the mini Dow. Okay, let's get back to this. So is crude actually going to come down or not? Now, this is a good question. This bar is, as you can see, a very bullish bar, settled with quite a bit of volume. They actually threw the kitchen sink at it. As you can see, 738 on the buy, 367 million on the sell, difference of 371 bullish. Now, they've been using the trend dots as support levels, as you can see, and they've been using the trend stop and the moving average. So, if I'm looking for mean reversion, I would be trying to identify this bar, even though it's bullish, to settle with a negative outcome. It didn't do it. And because of that, I cannot take this trade short right now. I actually have to wait for it and give it time, because based on this, it looks like they'll make one more move up. And then at that point, see, this one here is starting to settle almost negative. It's still bullish, this current candle, but it's not negative. See, you got 68 on the buy, 64 on the sell, 66 on the sell, difference of 2 million, and so the negative 14. Now we have something to actually look about. This basically, we would need this one to actually come down here. Now, if you were to short this one, because you can see it's just broken the pivot, then from this point on, know that you're taking risk. What's your risk? That they can basically settle here at 46.22 and then basically rally. Why? Because we need this candle to actually break below this trend dot. And if it does so, then we know that we're in good standing. So my suggestion, I'm taking this trade only because, and I'm not recommending that anyone does this yet. I would tell you wait. Wait for it to come down at least 10 ticks. If you choose to take this trade, know that your risk should be at least 6 to 7 ticks above. Now, why? When we change, now that we understand what's happening, if we go to a higher minute, you'll be able to see and understand my reasoning why. Let's do that. Okay, very good. So here, this is a 10-minute, and as you can see, they did the same thing, but you see how it looks like they want to come back up. That's why I said I wouldn't recommend you take this trade until we see them actually break below 46.18, and I would be very comfortable once they break below this pivot here, which is at 46.16. Then I would feel comfortable saying you can take a position. But if you do so, know that you are going against the trend right now, and they potentially could come up to 46.35. 46.35, 46.36. If I got in at 46.22, then I have to be comfortable with potentially giving up 10 to 12 ticks. Those are the rules. So now that we understand that, let us remove the volume indicator, and we'll be able to go and look at something else. Very good. Yes, okay, wonderful. I just want to make sure that, that you guys are getting that. Okay, so now as you can see, crude here, 10-minute. I thought I removed the volume indicator here, but I guess we're moving to a higher minute or a lower minute. So here, as you can see, they went up, and they settled. This is a signature move that they do, okay? Now, when they do this, they can come up and retest, and we are very familiarized with that being said. So, but again, I'm not willing to give up more than, 12 ticks on this trade. Now, if they don't pull this off and this one actually comes right back down, then they're in deep trouble. And that would basically tell us that the US CAD is going to go long if this goes short. So that's why I said I don't feel comfortable telling you guys go short on this yet, when I feel that they could potentially come back up. And the highest they can go to is 46.36. That would be the previous high of the previous day, and then from that point on, reverse. Now, normally when they do announce this, even if it's not come down and does not have a negative settlement, this is announcing. And so that's why I wanted to, number one, show you guys an example. I don't like to take a losing trade. So let's be clear on that. But I wanted you to see it so that you don't make the mistake that if you see this pattern and it goes against you, know why. Because the volume is telling you that they are not ready to reverse yet. And that's just a fact. So it can go against you between 20 and 30 ticks, but in this case, I would say 46.36 would be the maximum they could go to. And if that's the case, then, we're 3 ticks away from that. Then from that point, I'd probably be looking for them to set it up to go short. Now, normally when they do announce something like this in the futures, they can go against you 20 to 30 ticks. Be very aware of that. Do not make this mistake. That's why I'm making it very clear here. That's why I said don't take this trade. But, we'll let it play and we'll see basically how far they're willing to go. For me, they don't break the high of the previous day, which is 46.36. Normally at night they do that. This is a mean reversion trade, and looks like they're trading against the mean, but I think that here is where, if I'm right about my analysis, and this announced it here, and this announced it here, and this announced it here, then this would be the last move they make to the upside before they actually reverse. And if that is the case, then we should anticipate them to come right back to 45.33, which would be basically a dollar move down from where it is currently trading. But we need to wait and see because, as I said, now, this is important. You see how they've taken this to a whole other level right now in this trade? This one is settled higher than this one. So if I'm looking for volume divergence, then I'm going to be looking for it from here, not from here, because even though this bar has more volume than this bar, they settled lower, okay, with a negative outcome. So this one actually supersedes this bar. So in the next few candles, I'm looking for this. Now, remember, this and this cannot coexist in the same universe. And when we look at it from that perspective, it actually makes sense. Now, I want to go back to the Dow because we're at a break-even point right now, and I don't like to have break-even points there. So we'll leave this where it's at, and we'll go back to the Dow futures real quickly. Okay, great. All right, so this looks like they've decided to reverse as well. Treacherous. But see, this one did not settle with a bearish outcome. It's still bullish. So for all I know, they're coming back to retest. And if they're coming back to, and you can see the trend stop starting to move to the upside. You have a pivot here. You have the trend dots that are still bullish here. So for all we know, they're retesting before they go back up. And like I said here, I'm not willing to give up more than 5 ticks. That would be the worst case scenario. But right now we're only down 9 ticks in crude. So it looks like it's starting to, settle down. As you can see here, if this one, even though if this bar, even though it is bearish, closes with a bullish settlement, then we know this is going to continue and we are still in good standing. So this could be, to some degree, a re-entry. We'll know right now in about a minute. And they will do that, and that is okay. We have seen them do worse things in life. So now, remember that just because, oh, we have a pivot, ooh, that's dangerous, but not quite yet. And they did it right off of the moving average. That is treacherous. Very treacherous. Let's try and analyze this. This one came down, then this one came up. This one settled with lower, and this one higher, of course. And this is what we're looking for, but it's going higher. So I'm thinking they're going to make a move higher one more time before, if in fact they are planning to go short. So I'm still comfortable with a bullish position on this trade. Plus the fact that they're trading higher than this pivot and this power dot right now, which is higher than this one. So no, we're in good standing. Let's go back to crude. Remember, if you came in late and you take a position here, know that you should consider your stop loss here at 17,683, which is 10 ticks, or actually not even 10 ticks, 9 ticks from our entry. If you entered here at 17,693, then you are looking at a 10 tick stop loss. So you should put that there for yourself. Let's go back to crude. And we're looking at crude. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so back here in crude, what is happening? As you can see, as we said, oh wow, this is important. This candle, this previous candle, settled slightly below this one. Wow. Even though it had more volume, we can say that we can try and identify now volume divergence from this candle down. At least that is what we should expect or anticipate. Don't like the fact that they popped and they went higher than where my comfort level was. And like I said, 20, 30 ticks. So if they do not hold here, then I will exit on this trade. I will not stay any further. But like I said, from this point, if this doesn't go any higher, then at this point you should consider looking at a short. That's basically what, but you don't have the signal yet. Remember, this is the signal that we're looking for. We don't have it here. I mean, this one settled slightly below both points of control, but I would be more comfortable with a gap between them, between the body of the candle and the points of control. And if we see that, then at that point, what are we looking for verification? We are looking for the volume to actually come down and settle negatively here, or at least very close to the 50% line. So until we see that, this trade is still a little strange, not completely all there. Now we're only down 3 ticks on the Dow futures. And like I said, I'm not too concerned about that trade right now, because for me they were just retesting. So this one here, if this one settles below these previous two, then at that point I'm still comfortable with the volume divergence from this candle, and then it's just a matter of time. So down 18 ticks. I knew that that could happen. I warned you guys. So now it's just a matter of watching it from that perspective. And I won't give up more than, from where it's currently at. I'm going to watch it from this point and just see, because I don't feel comfortable giving up more than 20 ticks, to be quite honest with you. So let's wait and see what happens here. That's why I usually tell you guys, look at the volume. Someone is lying, and let the market tell you who's lying. Now, I did say that they were using the trend dots as support levels, and that's why when I saw this, that it settled above and not below, I wasn't comfortable with it, because they would pop. They did exactly just that. Unlike here, as you can see, the volume bar, they went up first, and they came down and settled below. So the point of control of the sellers has disappeared. Now it's just the buyers in hand. They are throwing the kitchen sink at this. I have to admit, I was not expecting them to move as much as they did here. So this is a little concerning to see them actually do this right now. But again, I'm looking to see where this settles, because in this candle they're literally throwing everything at it. Look at how much volume they're throwing at this. I mean, it is above and beyond what I imagined or expected at this time of the hour. Practically 1,203 on the buy, 742 on the sell. And this is important because from this point, I always tell you guys, take a look at the volume. But more importantly, is take a look at how price action is reacting to the volume. This has more bullish volume than it does bearish, okay? So, but if it starts to react to the bearish volume as it starts to come in, then that's a very strong indication that the sellers are actually starting to set up their trade and take control. And so now we start to see that the buyers may be beginning to finish rebalancing their position, and that's important. So this is, this trade and the way that it's unfolding is actually very, very important. Now remember, we still have the trend dots moving to the upside, so I would feel much more comfortable if this candle actually comes all the way down to our entry, because at that point, as you can see, it will settle with a negative outcome in the volume, and that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bullish bar that settles with a negative outcome with this type of signature move in the candle. That is the key to their algorithm right now. That is the key that we are looking for. This is what we're looking for, and if they give it to us right here and now, then we know that they are not planning on going any higher, and that this trade will come right back to the mean, which in this case would be the 200 moving average, 45.34. We're talking about a dollar move. So from this point, it's just a matter of verifying, and you can see that even though this volume bar had more volume than this previous candle and this previous candle, it's where they settle. And I said, if I see that this candle, the bar, the settlement is lower than the previous two, then the volume divergence is in fact from here, not here, not here. And then this concept, as we were stating before, is one that cannot exist, because in reality, they're setting this up to go down, not up. But we don't have confirmation of that yet. They're setting up for it. So this is what I'm looking for to get in line with this. So it's just a matter of having a little bit of patience. We're down 2 ticks right now on the Dow futures. And we'll be looking at a few other instruments right now. But like I said, I wanted to see what this one would do. Here we're down 15 ticks on this specific trade. And again, you know, I didn't like the fact that the trend dots are still to the upside. This one didn't really come back down to use it as a support level, but it's still indicating. Now, this candle, which is a new 10-minute candle, we're starting to see volume come in. More bullish volume than bearish volume still. You know, almost we're at 39 on the buy, 24 on the sell. There's 15, 40 on the buy, 24 on the sell, 41. And again, we're looking to see how price action reacts at this point. But this setup and this setup here is what I look for. Because even though it did not settle with a negative outcome, it did settle below this one and below this one. And to me, that's significant because that means that this candle is the one that should confirm that they will come down. This is where we look for confirmation to the downside. So from the high, which was 46.45, where it's currently at, we're talking 10 ticks. If you wanted to take a position here, it would be at your discretion, of course. No, your risk at this point would be 46.45. And that's it. That's all that I have to add in that regard. Now I feel comfortable that we can go actually look at something else. Are there any questions? Take a moment. It's okay. Now, usually when this happens, this will be an inside bar. It will be a gray bar. So long as it settles with a negative outcome, even though this bar is smaller than this one, it matters not. It just confirms what will be. And what will be is that we're anticipating a short trade from here. That's it. But usually, you know, here in futures, they have a tendency, if they pull this off, and that's why this is important for you to make a good note of it, that if they have this signature move, but the volume does not agree because it doesn't have a negative outcome, then they're going to come back up. And that's what they've done. See, now it's starting to come down. But again, I would feel more comfortable if it breaks below 46.24. Then at that point, I will feel at ease that this trade is coming down and that we should anticipate a dollar move to the downside. Let's continue. Watch this on your control center. Put it under positions. And as I said, it'll give you a good idea. We're down 6 ticks on the Dow. So we'll go and take a look at that right now. And we'll leave this to its to develop on its own. Let's take a look at the Dow again. Okay, very good. So we're back here at the Dow. Ooh, this is not good. This is what I was afraid of. And now it tells me that I need to consider exiting because even they did it here and they did it here. That's 2 in a row. Never trade against that signature move. Volume divergence is now confirmed to the downside here. This, I mean, we were looking at this long. It looked good. It did go up. They're using the moving average and they've hit their signature move. I cannot, in good conscience, stay bullish in this trade any further. I have to reverse my position. And the reason for it is that this candle, as you can see, when we got into it, it moved high. This closed with a bullish outcome, but this one, as you can see, did the same thing, but negative and closed with a negative outcome. And then this one, of course, opened right where this one closed, right below the pivots, came down, broke the trend dots, and of course they're playing right here. The outcome for me is they are not going to go bullish based on what they just did here. And this is just a little bit of a game they're going to play, and that's going to go short. Now with crude, we're only down 12 ticks. So I don't really like when they do that. It really gets under my skin, but understand what they do. And we talked about that, not giving up more than 5 ticks, which in this case we didn't. Based on our entry, we're following our rules. Let's let this, do what it do. From this point, this would be the second trade on this, and at this point, I would not give up more than 10 ticks here max. That's it. That's my exposure. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. I'm not going to be crying about it, so I will be watching it. Let's take a look at this point. Let's go quickly to the DAX. Hasn't done anything. That's interesting. Nothing there yet. But the New Zealand yen is starting to light up, and we had been looking at that one, so let us go there. Okay, great. Now we're at the New Zealand yen, and this indicator is telling us New Zealand strong, yen weak. I'm not comfortable with that concept. And why? Because they pulled this signature move here, as you can see, bullish candle with a negative outcome, which is what we're looking for. They pulled it down. They came back up. Here is the signature move again, negative outcome. And here, of course, they held. Now, this is important. We said New Zealand strong, yen weak. Looks like volume divergence is to the upside. That may be the case. That is interesting. Oh no, I hate when that happens. I don't want the ray. I want it to line. Looks like that is the case. Now, if that is true, then our stop loss would be here, 74.29. Our risk, 6 pips. I can live with those odds. Now, that's interesting. Wait on that. Don't do anything. Reason why I'm uncomfortable with that, only because of what the Dow is doing. The Dow and the yen have a strong correlation. If that is the case, even though we're at a break-even point, I'm not comfortable with this trade any further. I want to rethink that, so I'll exit. Why? Because, number one, they're using the trend dots as a support level. Number two, the yen has a very strong correlation with the Dow. And if that is the case, then we will see yen strength if the Dow comes crashing down. Not good. Now, that means that this can come up and then come down. I'll wait. I want to be sure. That's where I'm comfortable. And as you can see, it's settled below. Ooh, what a treacherous move they just pulled. Bullish candle with a negative outcome. And it's actually, that's why I said I had to rethink that. This one looks to go short. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable with my decision. See, sometimes you have to really analyze what you're going to do before you do it so that you can feel comfortable. And now the Dow futures, we are up 3 ticks. So we're 2 ticks from breaking even. New Zealand yen, we're at break even. And crude, and let's take a look at that. Let's go to the Dow real quickly, to confirm. So again, we're back at the Dow. We're 1 tick away from breaking even. Everything confirms that we have volume divergence to the downside, which is from this bar. Not the ray, let's kill that. It's a line. I hate when I do that to myself. See, now we are at break even. Volume divergence to the downside. Now I can feel comfortable with that decision. Now I can go look at crude. Let's take a look at crude. So here we're back at crude. It had gone against us 20 ticks. Now we're only down 6 ticks from breaking even, as you can see. It came down, settled with a negative outcome as we had anticipated. Let us basically draw the line to identify divergence. This is very important. Divergence is actually from here down, not from here. Why? Because this one settled higher than this one and this one. This settled down, so in actuality begins from here down. Now we're down 9 ticks, but again, we still have divergence to the downside, so I have to be comfortable with that. We have 4 ticks in our favor on the down. We're down just 1 pip on the New Zealand yen. Let's put that here. As you can see, that's basically what we're looking at right now. So let us, again, I'm, based on this trade, I at this point would not, a stop loss here I'd like to say would be 46.37 to be very comfortable with that. And as you can see, it's starting to come down. Again, I got in premature here. Why? Because they settled with a bullish outcome, even though this was a signature move. This one here, they settled lower, wasn't completely bearish, but this candle came down. And now, of course, we have this candle, which is starting to continue that bearish trend. And we're only 4 ticks away from breaking even, making us comfortable with the decision regarding this trade. Where here I was uncomfortable and I told you do not go short because of what they could do, and they did exactly what they planned out to do. So that's basically it. Now we can feel comfortable with this one and let the trade evolve. Can't really do more than that in that regard. Let us go hunting for something else. Let us go hunting for something else. And this, of course, should continue to come down. Let us analyze and go to, see, now we're actually positive 1 tick on this trade. I'm very comfortable. They broke through 1, 2, 3, and they broke below this pivot here. I'm comfortable with a bearish trade on this trade. Let us go look at the DAX now. The DAX is in play, and so are we. So now we're with the DAX. They pulled the signature trade right off of a moving average. Seems like they're going to trade away from it. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that we are late. It's okay. This trade right here, as you can see, is telling us that the sellers are willing to buy lower, the buyers are not. This one they're holding, but they still came down. They're trading off of this pivot. I'm uncomfortable with this right now. I'm not comfortable with it only because it looks like they're coming back and retesting it. If this doesn't go any lower, then it must come right back up. The DAX is a very, very, unique market, um, and sometimes a treacherous one at that. So here, based on what I'm seeing, I actually want to look at, as hard as it is to believe, I actually want to look at a 60-minute on this thing. Let's go to a 60-minute. Okay, 60-minute. Interesting. They did it here, as you can see. They went up and then they came down. Oh, that is interesting. Why? Now this one, as you can see, it had settled higher, so the volume was bullish, and then boom, they popped. And of course they came down from here, which is something that they tend to do. Now they've broken through the trend dots to the downside. They broke below the power dots, making it a very dangerous trade to go up. But I don't like the way this is settling, because if this settles above the point of control and there is a gap between the body and the point of control, this has bullish volume right now. Then at that point, they're in deep trouble. So let's take a look at this on a 7-minute, which I believe would be very interesting. And no one likes to look at the 7-minute, but I love to. Wow, what a move. They continued to move to the downside. Signature trade. Everything was good. But now this one, as you can see, this came down very aggressively. You have volume divergence. I would actually wait in this only because I want to see this. I want to see the point of control down here, and I want to see the body move up. If I see this with a bullish settlement, I'm long. Now, based on this, on how far they've come, and they've come pretty far. This has been an aggressive move. You're talking here from where they're currently at, 10 ticks, 5 ticks now. I'm not comfortable going long on this, and I'm not comfortable going short because we're late on it. But now I want to wait for it because of how the volume is starting to settle. If they don't go down any further and they hold, then I will look for a bullish trade. And you can see how they're trading it. Very treacherous, but might be worth, ouch, can't get in, son of a gun. Well, based on this, if you wanted to go bullish, this would be not the moment. Wait for it. You can see they're throwing everything at this. I mean, the kitchen sink and then some. 712 on the buy, 757 on the sell. It's still negative 798 on the sell, 800. I'm actually glad I didn't get in. And they are, at this point, pushing it down even further. So no, this was a signature trade right here. Look at how much time you had. 1, 2, 3, 4. You had literally a half hour before this thing pulled and just collapsed from 99.62 to 99.02, 99 even. Oh my God. What a severe beatdown someone took on this trade. And it wasn't us, thank God. But now you know. What you didn't know, you know now. But our trades are working out wonderfully. We're talking phenomenal. Let us look at what we have here. And as you can see, the New Zealand, we are positive. We're positive 21 ticks, 22 ticks on the Dow, 19 ticks. We're up 7 ticks on the crude. We shorted the Dow and crude. We are up right now on this one, 8 ticks, 8 pips on the New Zealand yen short, and that's really all that we can say in that regard. Again, that DAX, what a vicious trade. I mean, they were just brutal. I love the DAX. It is a monster. If you're on the wrong side of it, it slices. And it hurts really bad to be on the wrong side of this one. I mean, it's just a monster. You know, it really aggressively just makes you feel bad for the person that made the mistake on this trade, even though you're not in it, or even though you were, even if you were in it. I mean, ouch. Talk about, you know, severe pain. So, that's pretty much it in that regard. Let's look and see if we find something else. It shall be interesting. The US yen's in play, of course. It's probably already came down. We looked at the New Zealand yen instead of the US yen only because we were more comfortable with our decision here. The US yen had already began to define. And this is the hourly. The hourly is very good at this time during the European session to look at because they do stupid things. Excuse me for saying that. But, you know, you can't lie. We're up 10 ticks right now on crude. We're up 26 ticks on the Dow. And we are up right now 5 pips on the New Zealand yen. Is there something else that I can look at here that would make me, ouch. Oh, just seeing this just hurts. I'm so glad I didn't get in that trade. And so now, okay, we have this one. Pound Swissy. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting one. That one hasn't played out yet, but it looks like it wants to. We shall see. And even the New Zealand Swiss is an interesting monster there. So, yeah, let's look. Let us go. Pound Swissy. Do I even have that here? Oh, I do. Look at that. Very nice. Look at that. The US yen's in play. Let's take a look at the US yen before we continue. We're doing so well on that Dow trade and the crude that I actually feel bad. Okay. So this is the US yen, and as you can see, wasn't comfortable with this trade. They did give a signature announcement here. Came down, came back up. This is the trade right here. We're actually not really late in this one. It would only go against us 10 pips, if that. Looks like they're going to continue with this move to the downside based on that. So I'd like to say that we're still, you could still take this trade to the downside. Just know your risk. You know your risk. You know, I mean, 10 pip stop loss basically is what you're looking at. We're a little late in it, but it still looks like it could, you know, it could play. Now the Dow bounced. We're only up 14 ticks on that. We're 1 tick positive on crude. We may need to reassess. We're down 1 pip on the yen. We're up 3 pips in the New Zealand yen. And we're up 3 pips in the New Zealand yen now. So this one's good, but we need a negative outcome. We need them to settle negative. And if that's the case, then they're going to come right down below this. And there is no tomorrow after that. We're at break even now on that, which is good. So I'm very comfortable with the trades that we've taken. As you can see, we're in 4 trades. I don't really think that we need to be in any more trades in that regard. Oh, the EMA specs, very good. So this is a 50 EMA, this turquoise one. The white one is a 200, and the gray one is a 100. Okay, and now let us go and take a look. Since we're here, like I said, you know, ooh, that was a little treacherous, but this one should continue the move to the downside, and I'll be very comfortable with that. We have 2 pivots, 3 pivots here. Yeah, I'm comfortable with this. I'm not uncomfortable with it. So let's move on. Let us go and take a look at the pound Swissy, which is not one that we normally trade, but they're setting up for it, so we might as well look at it. I don't think I want to take any more trades than the ones that we are already in. I would feel uncomfortable doing so, but we can look and see what else is in play. Okay, so this one said long based on this. Short Swiss, long pound. Wow, they're not joking. I mean, they came down and they moved swift. This is based on the DAX, and this settled up, and you can see how it's settled here. And it is just right above the power dots. Why am I not going long on this? Because I want to see them break the trend dots. Now, they did a mean reversion trade, not a mean reversion here. They moved away from the mean aggressively, but now it looks like they're doing a mean reversion trade to come back up. Now, based on where they're trading, realistically, we could take a 5 pip stop loss. That would be a risk on this trade. If it plays, it plays, and if not, then we lose 5 pips. I'd say I'm usually not comfortable with it, to be honest with you, but only because I feel that they're going to come down one more time and retest. But I guess I could wait. It still has a bullish outcome. I would actually feel comfortable going long here from, I know that my risk here would be 5 pips. That's it. 5 pips. Everywhere else, we are positive on the board. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. And like I said, I wasn't that comfortable getting into a 5th trade or 6th trade. 5th trade, yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that's number 5. But it looks good. I mean, who am I to say no? See, look at that. Now we're at break even. Are there any questions? I mean, the system and the strategy are telling us exactly what we need to be looking at. This isn't luck. We do not trade on luck. We trade on specific facts of information. So now basically you got 5 trades. Now we're down 1 tick on crude. We're at break even again. Down 1 tick, break even. They're playing their little game. We'll let them play their little game. Let's wait and see. Wait for it. Wait for it. We're only down 1 pip, which is nothing. Let us bring this in and see how they open. It was just nasty. Chop, chop, chop. Boy, they really, this is where you question the ethics and morality of the market makers, because no one in their right mind would ever trade this thing except us. And I mean, I would have shorted this thing when I saw this here. This and this would just down. But, you know, to me, like I said, I'm not willing to risk more than 5 pips, which is right here for my entry, which is at a pivot, which is perfect. Um, it's what I would normally consider doing. I'm going to feel very comfortable with this trade if it settles with bullish, with bullish volume. Then at that point, I'm very comfortable with my trade. If I see it settle with negative volume the way it has right now, I would probably get out only because I don't see that it would continue. Miserable crude. We're down 10 ticks on that. Let's leave this alone. Let's go see crude. Okay, we are back here with crude. Let's analyze this. Son of no, this is still negative. This is a negative bar. Why is it negative? Let us come up. Let's take a look at the volume. Treacherous. Power dot. Hate when they do that. God, it just gets under your skin. But we have a trend out, so if they come and they challenge here and they don't break above this, that means they're going to come right back down. They're just retesting. But I hate when they do that. It really just gets under my skin. So let's see the volume here. 313 on the buy, 324 on the buy, 272 on the sell, difference of 61. Not good. Don't feel comfortable with this trade, any further. This killed it right here. This was the reversal. We're right back. But again, for me, it's a retest. If they don't break above this and they trade right and they stay below it, then they're going to come right back down. And all this means is that they were just coming up to retest, to reconfirm the decision that's already been made to go short. And that's it. We'll wait and take a look at this. And if this one doesn't do anything weird, then we will conclude. I'll be right back. So cool. The Morris car is amazing. Like, Camaro key car starts when you're not even in the car. Push it, press the key. Who showed up? Who showed up? More. First it was me, Michael Lamar, and then Michael left around 7:30ish or 7:20ish, and then Shane came. Rob came before Shane. Rob, Shane, then Kevin came. So that's really showed up. Wow. Yeah, they had busy stuff. No discussion about anything else. That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, very good. So, as you can see, our theory was proven correct. They came to retest. They're coming right back down. Shame on them. Shame on them. But now we must go to the pound Swissy, because the pound Swissy is not reacting the way we wanted it to. I'm comfortable with this trade, even though they did have power dots. This is a no-no. Signature trade. This is our signature trade. This is what the banks don't want the retail trader to see. This discrepancy between price action, volume, and the point of control. We have the technology for this. This is our gift, my gift to you. So let us take a look at the pound Swissy and see what in the world they're thinking. Again, you know, anything with has to do with the pound right now is really subjective, primarily because of all the nonsense of the bank rate that's going to come out later on this morning. So in that regard, we have to be, you know, careful with any trade that deals with the British pound right now. I took it because it looked good. It did play. But now, and I was concerned. I did say I was concerned about that trend dot. Now, because this settled slightly negative and this is bullish, for all we know, you know, if this does trade the way it looks like it's going to trade, this thing could be the one that basically says, I'm coming back. And they can come right back up. But I don't feel comfortable with it now. I'm very uncomfortable with it. And you should not feel comfortable with your trade. Your trade should be on your terms and no one else's. And if this isn't on your terms and it's on their, now we're on their terms based on, you know, what they did. So I'm actually very comfortable closing this trade. I don't want to risk any further. You know, I knew the risk that I was going in with this. You know, I said 5-6 pips, but you know, as you can see, they're going to continue down, and I'm not comfortable with that. Where our other trades, we are positive to the hill on every one of them. So I don't think we need to worry about that trade any further. I think that at this point, if we chose to close our trades, we'd be fine, but let's not. Let us take a look at them to feel comfortable with where each trade stands, and then we will conclude. Let us go to the Dow, begin there. So here, for instance, let me repeat, you know, we're looking at the Dow. This is our entry. This is where we're currently at. I feel very comfortable with this trade going down further. I'm not uncomfortable with it. So now I think it's time for us to take a look at crude. Let's go to crude. Okay, we are back at crude. As you can see, we are positive 6 ticks. It came right back down. This still has slightly bullish volume, as you can see here at the bottom, but it looks like it will continue to come back down. I'm very comfortable with this trade. If I'm right, this trade will come all the way down to 45.64. I was thinking 45.30. This is a 7-minute. On the 10-minute was 45.30. So 45.30 is where I'm more comfortable with this. But I'm comfortable with the decision where we're at right now. In this trade, let's take a look at the US yen. US yen. Okay, we're with the US yen, and as you can see, we are positive. We got in at 108.84. It is currently trading at 108.76. So we're up 8 pips. I'm very comfortable with this trade to continue to go down. don't really have much more to say in that regard, except that if I was looking to forecast, I would probably say that 108.45 is a good target for this to come down to. A very good target, and potentially even 108.36, but I would feel very comfortable with 108.45. That's basically it in that regard. Let's take a look at the New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen. Okay, the New Zealand yen. Let's take a look at this. I'm still comfortable with this trade going short. I'm not uncomfortable with it. I think that, you know, if I had to choose the fact that it's trading off of the 100, that it bounced right off of it, I would consider it, you know, I think it's got to go down one more leg. And if I'm right, anticipation is 73.90 on this trade, which is another 30 pips based on that. And that's pretty much it. So I think that we've accomplished quite a lot this morning, right before the rate announcement. And before we close, just to make it fair, you know, I always like to close with a positive outcome, regardless of what else is going to happen. Let us close all the positions and close all positions. Let's try that again. Flatten everything. And that's it. We are done. If you're still in these trades, you know where they're going. I don't really need to say them any further, quite honestly. We've made our point. We had a great European session. I want to thank you very much for joining us today here at Phoenix Trading Strategies. If you're going to be looking to trade the rate announcement, I would tell you to wait. Don't, you know, don't scalp. You know, we don't scalp. This isn't our way. You know, we look for specific information, and it has to make sense. So if it doesn't, just wait until after the announcement. If you miss it, you miss it. It's not a big deal. You know, we had a great European session right now prior to the rate announcement. What more can we ask? So I want to thank you very much for joining us here today for the European session for the Trade Forecasting Room. I look forward to seeing you Friday morning. Have a great evening. Have a great trading day, and have a great trading week for whatever is left of the week. Thank you so much for joining us today. I do look forward to seeing you Friday morning. We will post this video up on YouTube, and we will be sending out an email to everyone regarding it. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. I look forward